Well, welcome. I am Laurel Sterling, and this is Deborah Sorrentino, our cafe manager. And we're going to be going back and forth. Well, basically, I'm going to talk a little bit about raw and juicing and sprouting and whatnot. But Deborah actually has done more of it and lived more of it than I have. This is a progression that I'm taking, a journey into something that I've wanted to do for years. And so a lot of the questions on the how-tos will probably be directed towards Deborah. And you can ask her throughout if there's something that you want to ask at this point or towards the end, which is when she's going to do her demonstration. You have, what are the samples you're going to do again? Yeah. So don't rush off right after because you have this going on too. So I'm going to hopefully give you a little bit of information and then progress from there and stick around to sample all the wonderful stuff. Okay. All right. So these first two slides I actually have in a lot of my presentations, so you may have seen this before, which I think is something that's very important to put in there because don't all of us want to live long, healthy, graceful, wonderful lives without pain, and that would be a goal I know myself. I had 3 great-grandparents that lived to, one was 94, the other was 99, and the other was 100. So, I mean, I actually strive for the 100 mark myself, a healthy 100. So, I don't hear that from a lot of people, but I did have one client came in, and she said, I would like to live till I'm 100 and healthfully, so how are you going to get me there? So, I was pretty impressed about that. Oh, 108. Nice. So, and why do we want to make any of these lifestyle changes? Because they're actually seeing and now acknowledging in the research, the National Institute of Health recommends that lifestyle changes are most important and cost-effective to lower cholesterol, as well as they saw that it was you should use that as the first-line therapy for heart disease in general, stroke, diabetes, cancers, osteoporosis, arthritis, Alzheimer's, and others as well. So I'm hearing more and more, because I do a lot of individual counseling here. It's a free service of the store, and I'm hearing a lot of people now coming in more so than ever before where they're saying, well, my doctor said, well, why don't you try to do this before taking this statin, or why don't you try to do this before we get you on some diabetic meds or blood pressure meds, which I'm very impressed with. I'm grateful for them and for that because it's very important to look at. That's like, again, your first-line therapy. You should go to that first. The foods first, the environment, what's going on in your life. Look at those things first before you just hand out a script, which is what a lot of doctors tend to do. So what we're going to talk about, more of adding raw foods into your regime. So what is raw? Now, I have a couple different books up here. One that we carry called Rawsome by Brigitte Mars. Did anybody go to her talk last year at our health fair? Yeah, she was very, very good, and she lived it for, I forget if it's like 20-some-odd years. Her daughter actually got into it, and so she looked into it because of her interest in what her daughter was doing, and then she started doing it herself. This is another one that I have called Raw and Beyond, and that's one that actually a client gave to me who does a lot of raw stuff, and this is a very interesting book, and I have a lot of information out of this book as well as the other one in there. So they kind of differ as far as what the degrees are as far as heating. There are raw nut butters out there, for instance, but when Brigitte was speaking, she said, really, you really have to be careful because what is the degree that they heat that to? So it depends on how real staunch you want to be about that. So it's no application of heat of any kind, no cooking, no grilling, no steaming. Foods can be dehydrated, frozen, or fermented, which we're going to talk about all those processes later. Never heated above 110. One book says 110, one says 116, another one I saw 118, so around there. Keeping the enzymes and nutrients live and intact. Also, that you can say a raw diet can go anywhere from 75% to 95% raw, and some exclude all animal products with the possible exception of raw honey. Others emphasize the value of raw fish, which you told me how that was ceviche, which you can talk more about. Yeah, exactly. Like how the process is where you can actually eat that without having, issues with foodborne illnesses. Seared red meat, uncooked or semi-cooked eggs, and unpasteurized dairy. Which, I mean, I grew up on a dairy farm. My great uncle lived with us, and he would just go out to the tank and open it up and dip a cup in and just drink it. And I was just like, oh, what are you doing? Just because that wasn't how I was raised. We were supposed to get the milk out and go bring it over, and we had a little pasteurizer that was filled with water, and it was heated to a certain temperature, and so that's how we had it after that. But you have to be very careful with things like that. You have to have certified places and sources that that are okay with the raw standards. Benefits of raw: there's a wide variety of them. Has more nutrients and fibers. Enzymes, again, are active, which is great and helpful for digestion. So it's digested easily and quickly within 24 to 36 hours versus the 48 to 100 for cooked foods. Memory and concentration sharper, increased energy levels, strengthens the immune system. Degenerative diseases often disappear. Aging process can slow. Better skin, weight loss. You'll see a lot of this with when I speak about juicing as well, too. So the raw diet involves juicing, sprouting, dehydrating, fermenting, freezing. All these are things, like I said, I'll just have one or two slides on in towards the end, and Deborah will speak some more on them. So in your kitchen, this is a few things that I had written down. Actually, maybe you can comment now or later what some other things would be included, but you definitely should invest in a juicer. And last time we had, it was last month, right? We spoke on juicing. Yes. Well, that's actually not considered a juicer, but yes, exactly. Right. Yep. See, everybody's got a different perspective. Yeah, you read one thing, another. Like, I actually learned a lot from reading about where she came from, because she was a staunch just raw food for 18 plus years. Right. It's all of, right. Yep. It's actually adding in more cooked, so like an 80-20. But a Vitamix is definitely great because you can make soups with that. You can make homemade ice creams and all sorts of things in there. So that's definitely good. But that is an investment, about $400 to $600, right? That's right. You were talking. Right. Excellent. Good. Right. So those run about what? Okay. Oh, you did? And how do you like it? Oh. Oh, good. Excellent. Good. So it's a NutriBullet. 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 Yeah. Oh, Target, she said. Diabetes, mellitus. That's just diabetes. Yep. So we can, add those to a dehydrator also, which I haven't ever used. Have you? But yeah. So anybody dehydrators? Yes. Nice. Right. I have a girlfriend that made these wonderful kale chips. It was with some sort of a sweet pepper and the nutritional yeast. Oh gosh, I just couldn't stop eating them. It was so wonderful. So you have to carefully wash and cleanse the raw foods. You can use a solution of white vinegar or whatnot to clean it. It's important that you avoid the foods that have been treated with pesticides and herbicides. And I have my whole section on the clean 15 and the dirty dozen in there, which I usually put in because it's very important because you're concentrating those nutrients. So you have to be very careful. Okay, so different staples that you can have, fruits, vegetables, Nut seeds, coconut, avocado, olives, olive oil. Again, it'll vary depending on what you want to add into your regime. Store-bought dehydrated crackers, cookies, and breakfast cereals may be uncooked and nutrient-dense, but they may not be as enzyme-rich as if you had the pure one and did it yourself with your fresh produce. So we're going to talk a little bit. There's some things that you have like miso and raw sauerkraut and kimchi, which is a Korean fermented dish with seasonings on cabbage, radish, scallion, and cucumber. Your most enzyme-rich raw foods will be close to their natural state as possible when they were first harvested. Receiving the nutrients, you would get plant proteins such as the soy or pulses, which are your beans, legumes, nuts, and seeds, should be part of your daily raw food diet. It's also important to get enough of your carbohydrates and fruits and vegetables, as well as your fats from the fresh pressed oils. Again, depending on your health condition, you may want to talk to someone like myself, or I don't know if a doctor would talk to you about this at all, unless it was a real integrative doctor. But definitely check into that before you start something like this. So if you want to start on a 100% raw diet, this was something that I got off of the Live Strong website, and it can be, again, as simple as or as complex as you like. An easy meal plan would be, for instance, a kiwi shake for breakfast, an avocado and carrot soup paired with a large salad for lunch, and lettuce wraps for dinner. And so this is the kiwi shake. It's 3 kiwis, 4 nectarines, 2 carrots, blended with 2 bananas to make a smoothie. Or again, you can make whatever kind that you want. Lunch, this is a carrot soup. So blend some carrot juice, avocado, ginger, and garlic. Add some chopped onions for a bit of texture, and you can have some cayenne, again, seasonings, whatever works for you. Eat it with a large salad. Dinner, this is just some avocados, onions, and jalapenos, and you can mix it together with some different seasonings, and then spoon them into this large wrap of romaine lettuce for a taco, like instead of having your bread. So that could be a sample of a day eating raw. But as I was saying, in this one book, for instance, for 3 people that were very staunch raw for at least 15 to 20 years apiece, they started changing their mindset for various different reasons. So 100% raw is not always best. So nutrients like lycopene in tomatoes, they're actually locked into the cells. You can't get access to the lycopene unless it's cooked or heated. So that's what Victoria Butenko started looking at. She said, really, when you're looking at raw, you have to look at, okay, what are you actually comparing? And I'll get more into that in the next few slides. So, yep, that's another thing I have. Yep, you're jumping ahead of me. Nutrients from kale, spinach, and garlic are more easily absorbed by the body when these foods are eaten cooked. So B12 is another issue. It's typically found predominantly in meat and dairy, but you have to be careful because you don't want to have raw meat or dairy, depending, again, the source of it. So a study published in the Journal of Nutrition in 2005 found that raw food consumers had a higher risk of vitamin B12 deficiency. So if you're on a strict raw diet, it's important for you to choose plant foods that are rich in B12, such as the leafy greens and whole grains. And again, get your B12 checked regularly, or if you need injections. So this is where I get into the book and talk about how they started changing their mindset after some health issues. For instance, Victoria she went towards this for the raw, 100% raw, because of certain health issues in her family as well as herself. And then noticed they felt great initially, but after years went on, there were skin issues and other sorts of things creeping up. So they started looking at they started adding in more cooks. So she kind of went more towards the 80-20, which most of the 3 authors in that book went more towards the 80-20. So she used to think anything raw is superior to anything cooked. The nutritional value of cooked food depends on the time and intensity of the cooking process. For example, steamed or lightly cooked vegetables can retain up to 80% of their vitamins and minerals. So which is better? This is what she was saying. Is lightly cooked red cabbage or an ounce of raw almond butter better? Is steamed asparagus or cashew nuts? Or baked apple or a slice of raw cake? And as you'll see in these, it's heavy in the nuts and the oils, the omega-6s, what you were just talking about. No, definitely not. Because again, with the the farms that are out there, those big pharmas, they don't really replete the soils like we used to do with crop rotation. So, right. So that's why with organics, they definitely do, like for instance, the farm. Right, the CSAs. I'm trying to think of the Grindstone Farm is one, for instance. That actually is in Pulaski, and they talk about how they rotate the crops to replete the soils back with what they need nutrient-wise. They plant certain things next to it to keep the bugs off of it, and they do as best as possible. So, what's that? Yeah, they do. Dick DeGraff owns it. He's wonderful. This is in Pulaski, and you can also order them online. You go to grindstonefarms.com. Yep. And you can. Right. Yep. And then growing it yourself too, isn't it? Mm. Well, they do have sometimes hair analysis and other workups that we don't really have around here. When you go to the doctor, you typically get a regular CBC panel, which doesn't look at, well, it'll look sometimes at your B vitamins if you have issues, or it'll look at magnesium or calcium, things like that, but not your whole rundown. Whereas if you went to, say, Sherry Rogers, who used to be here, she would test all those things to see, but they have specific labs they send it out to. So it's more like with a functional medicine doctor. Yeah, some people do that too, muscle testing. Yep. Yes. Mhm. Right. And a lot of us are disconnected from here down. It's the day-to-day stuff, and we don't really think about it. And that's questions that I ask people. Do you have a regular daily bowel movement? How are you feeling? How's your stressors? Sleep, all that kind of stuff. So I definitely get into that. Thank you. So there's a lot of ways. Yeah. Very true. Yes, thank you. And I too, that brought up a point for me too, because this, that I've been craving cilantro like crazy, and didn't even realize it was such a heavy metal detoxifier. So I have no idea. I was gravitating it towards it in our Popeyes punch, and then putting it in my salad. And then I was also having a ton of Indian food with turmeric and whatnot. I was just, for some reason, craving that. And if you look at the Vata Ayurvedic type, it really fits for my type, for warming is what I need. So, your body will tell you a lot. You just have to definitely listen to it. So thank you for all that. She also thought that raw food is best for humans because all animals in the world consume 100% raw. Most animals, excluding carnivores, must eat for at least 6 hours a day to get enough nutrition in their diet. So that's why this is really heavily laden with a lot of nuts to make up for the calorie count that you're not getting from your meat and from your other sources, and the protein and whatnot, they had to have a lot more oils and nuts and seeds. And that actually, for a lot of them, felt like it was bogging them down after a while. So she made essential changes to her raw food plan after experiencing, like I said, some different health issues for herself as well as her family. So she started looking at green smoothies because they weren't really, interestingly enough, having very many greens in their diet, and omega-3s. In a typical raw food diet, people turn to oils, nuts, and seeds to help increase their caloric intake, like I just said. A diet rich in nuts and seeds and low in greens, fresh fruits, and vegetables inevitably leads to nutritional deficiencies. It's high omega-6s to omega-3s, which is more inflammatory in the body. And so it's also easier to do in warmer climates. So we were just talking about that. It's harder to get this fresh. I had one girl come in who wanted me to make a meal plan for her that was local, raw, in season, and I said, "You're living in Syracuse with." I said, "You're going to have to really," yeah. I said, so this was very difficult. Needless to say, I wasn't able to put it all together for her. I said I helped her as much as I could and kind of gave her resources. There's also a website too that you can go to that's called eatwild.org, and you can put that in, and then you click on the state, New York State, and then within there it gives all over New York different farms and what they have at these different farms. So eatwild.org. So she had a shift in belief. So raw foodists should focus mostly on whole foods, salads, smoothies, and juices with occasional tiny portions of nuts and seeds, versus that was their big thing, was the nuts and seeds. Right, that's a good thing. Right, yeah. So typically 3-to-1 or 2-to-1 is what you want to get for the omega-6s to 3s, and a typical American diet gets 10-to-1 or 20-to-1. So omega-3s, they're widely available in your greens, like spinach, romaine, arugula, purslane. Did they? Nice. Then they stop. Like a leaf, yeah. Yeah. 3. More 3. You want to keep, well, yeah, but I mean typically you're going to get more because there's oils in almost all the different foods, so you're going to end up with more 6. But you want to keep it at a low ratio, not this like high 6s to, right, you want to try to get in more. I don't know those. Right, so, right, in her book I know she was talking about, I think she went through as far as the omegas, so walnuts fall, I don't know where that is. She gave in this book the whole ratio of 3 to 6s, and walnuts were 4, walnuts, it says 1 cup, is 4.2 times more omega-6s in this. Yeah, because I think almonds is pretty high. So, right, those are 2,000 times more omega-6s, almonds and kale. Yep, they're good. So, as he's pointing out, walnuts, definitely add those in too. So, yes. Yeah, those tend to be more inflammatory, and they also have some aflatoxin issues, some moldy. They're better for you, but yeah, just kind of add a variety is what not just have, what's that? So she was saying there was a pyramid that she had where you can do 100% raw, which is great for healing and detoxifying. which had a lot of fresh, ripe organic fruit, organic greens, organic veggies, and small amounts of flax, hemp, chia, walnuts, avocado. There's the walnuts in there. Avocado, flax, olive oil, and fats high in omega-3s. And if you want to have more of where she's kind of eating like 90%, so it's changed just on the fresh organic greens. Cooked organic greens also are being included there, as well as cooked organic veggies, and the rest of it's the same. So she, again, lightened it a little bit. This lady here, Miss Love, is a raw chef, and she used to eat 100% raw. She started making, again, some changes as well. She said that she started eating season by season, or sometimes month by month, however she felt, or week by week, depending on what her body, she was listening to her body and what she felt like her body needed at the time. In her experience, raw food combined with a little cooked is more appealing for people to follow. She thinks balance is the more important thing. She says 80% raw and 20% cooked, even more cooked depending on the time of year. Again, that's where she was. This time we tend to gravitate towards warming stews and whatnot, which is fine. It's a more balanced diet, and it's more doable for people to manage as a lifestyle. She believes for you to find the right balance for yourself rather than feel pressured to be 100% raw, because they were all saying that it was really difficult to have that lifestyle, and if you're out and about and you felt like you were being so restrictive and constrained, use balance instead of an all-or-nothing approach when going more raw. She recommends starting simply by adding more fruits and vegetables into your diet, and you can try adding 1 or 2 new recipes a week, like, for instance, the ones maybe that Deborah has today. Like, I've never tried myself. My husband did it once to make the hummus, and I was never able to reproduce it as good as he made it. So I would like to... Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it was great that one time, and then after that I went, oh, not so great anymore. So you will have more energy and life force by adding more greens. So a lot of them are adding more greens. Chad Sarno, a raw chef, used to be 100% raw. First got into it, again, for therapeutic reasons, for health reasons. He feels more balanced by reducing the amount of fats, nuts, and sugars. He feels grounded with greens, beans, and grains as his staples. He went through many phases to find what makes his body and mind feel best. He believes that a raw food diet is the most healing diet on the planet, so if you need to go towards that for a short time period and then back off from that. He feels that most raw food diets are way too high in sugar and fat. His cholesterol and triglycerides were dangerously high on a raw gourmet diet. He shifted his use of ingredients. Salad is his main staple of his diet. He still eats 80% raw, and the other 20% is grain and beans. And he travels around the world teaching people. What's that? Oh, does he? Yeah, I think I remember reading that because there was a website connection in with that, Whole Foods. He teaches people to prepare foods, and he came to the conclusion that the most beneficial diet is whole foods and plant-based, whether cooked or raw. High raw is preferable depending on the season, weather, and availability. So if not 100% raw, then try semi. Try 50% to start. A gradual change is better for people who are used to consuming most of their meals cooked. Semi-raw can be your final goal, so you work at it with whatever works for you and your lifestyle. So some different semi-raw meal ideas. These are very basic and simple, just to add in something like marinate kale or broccoli and mushrooms, which are typically cooked. Raw corn, you can add that to it. Again, that should be organic corn. Scraped off the cob makes a nice salad with some tomatoes and fresh herbs and peppers and zucchini. The raw tomato sauce, I actually started doing this for myself years ago when I was having really bad acid reflux, and I thought it was the tomatoes, which it ended up being other stuff I was putting it on. But I started just getting little cherry tomatoes and cutting them up and then putting them on top of pastas and whatnot. And I felt like I digested those much better, whereas the sauce, because of the cooking, something about the process just didn't agree with me at the time. Now I can. So look for ways to add in chopped raw vegetables to meals you already eat, like you can add them to soups or scrambled eggs, or I put some vegetables or pestos and different things on top of my eggs in the morning, and I love that. That's my regime in the morning. This is a salad a recipe that was given to me by Pam Esty, who works out there in the vitamin section. And it actually came as original recipe from Jamie Oliver's site, noted on the bottom. It's carrot and celeriac remoulade is the original one. And the only thing that's different is she changed it to the kohlrabi, which is more, I think she was saying that's in season and more local, available here. The kohlrabi. So she said this is a nice salad, and I haven't tried this yet. You just take the whole kohlrabi, shred it with a food processor, squeeze the juice of 1 lemon, 3 tablespoons of Dijon mustard, and I said semi-raw because I don't know about the mustard and how that's processed, but in the Raw and Beyond book, actually, they have a raw vegan mayo recipe in here, so that's why I said you could use that as the mayo, and salt and pepper to taste, and there you have a beautiful salad. And we also have these to sample here too, which is the kale. This is another one that I got from another site that she had recommended, which was, I have the site at the end, the website. Can't think of it at the moment. But this is just a raw, gluten-free, no-bake dessert that's available, and I'll show you. I think it's called She Glows. OshiGlows.org, I think that's where. And she has all different recipes on there, which is vegan ones, raw ones, all different things. Also, juicing is involved in this for raw. So it's a great way to increase your fruit and veggie intake. It's amazing when you look at actually what goes into, how many of you juice? So how much goes into when you put it all in there and you think, oh my gosh, and that was 2 apples, a lemon, a cucumber, and then you get this all packed in there, and beautiful, done. So drinking fresh juice can help us adopt healthier eating patterns. And for those who don't consume many fruits and vegetables, it's just an easy way to incorporate this in. It provides a way to access digestive enzymes typically locked away in the fiber matrix of the whole fruits and vegetables. And commercial fruits and vegetables, or juices, don't have this available typically. So again, this is just like with the raw. It boosts your immune system, jumpstarts weight loss, manages healthy weight, lowers the risk of life-threatening diseases, promotes longevity, releases stored toxins, increases energy, all sorts of wonderful stuff. So how does it work? You remove the insoluble fiber, but it keeps the soluble fiber in there, and it has enzymes, and it's just very bioavailable, very nutrient-dense, and your body absorbs it very quickly. So it's just a wonderful way, again, to get that all packed into one. So most of you may know about this, so why would you want to choose organic? Well, 80% of pesticides are carcinogenic. The average American consumes about 1 gallon of pesticides annually. These have gone up because a lot of these are older studies. Mount Sinai study in 2003 showed that when a large group of individuals were tested for 200 pesticide residues, 90 different pesticides showed up in humans. Now they've actually tested the cord blood of babies and found over 200 different chemicals in newborn. Yeah, and that's just from the mother's store within her body. And it's not talking about drug users, that's just talking the general population. So the Dirty Dozen list of foods should be avoided unless they are organic. They're high in pesticide residue, and these were tested after being washed. So those people that ask me, can I just wash them off? I hear it over and over. I wash them. And I say, you know what, that doesn't do anything. Because it's sprayed throughout the whole growing process. So it's just incorporated in that whole fruit or vegetable. So eating these foods exposes an individual to 15 pesticides per day. Therefore, all these foods should only be consumed if organic. So these are the Dirty Dozen. And you can go to Environmental Working Group, it's ewg.org, and get updated ones. Yeah, these are the ones you should have organic only. I have the websites at the end, too. Oh, welcome. Yeah. Yes, yep, in the fridge. We've tried it in the past, and it just they didn't sell well, and then we ended up wasting more. But now we have the juice bar, so it kind of is a great mix. So, okay. So this is Environmental Working Group's research shows that people, and this is 2010, people who eat 5 fruits and vegetables a day from the Dirty Dozen consume an average of 10 pesticides a day. So eat the Clean 15, okay? By eating these, you expose yourself to only 2 pesticides per day. So that's well, you can go to the ewg.org. It's the Environmental Working Group, and it has it on there. I don't have it I actually can. And you look up the Clean 15 or the Dirty Dozen. Yep. And arugula? Yeah. So you have lemons and the ones that help things that detoxify the liver would be beets and cilantro and rosemary, green tea, turmeric, onions, garlic, lemons, limes, the cruciferous vegetables, all those, which are kale, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage. And two things I love, all in one. So caution, because juicing, I mentioned this already, concentrates the nutrients. So beneficial, it concentrates the phytonutrients, the vitamins, minerals, the phenols, which are the cancer fighters from the natural fruits and vegetables, enzymes, soluble fiber. Detrimental, then you get that concentrated amount of the pesticides, insecticides, and other chemicals. Right. And we do the Dirty Dozen Clean 15 out here. This was just something I threw in too to note that apples, they were looking at why allergies were creeping up more and more, and they actually found that when they were looking at the apples that were sprayed versus the ones that were left organic, they found that organically grown apples had 2 to 6 times lower levels of this MAL-D1 allergen in 3 out of the 4 tests versus the ones that were sprayed. So it creates this natural allergen, and then they produce more of that to protect themselves, and then they're seeing, I actually have some clients that have apple allergy that I've never seen before. So, this is a concern, definitely. Mm-hmm. Well, best to be organic, number one, because they're like one of the top ones that are pesticide. And then the skin's on. Skin on. The coloring has got all the antioxidants and nutrients and stuff. The rest of it's the pectin and the other good stuff. Which the pectin, by the way, apple pectin absorbs radiation too. They use that with people from the survivors of Chernobyl, and they had them ingest a lot of apple pectin and absorbed a lot of the radiation. Yeah. You're right. Keep the peels on. Right. See? Don't dismiss all the stuff that we've learned, growing up. Yeah. Wegmans. Mhm. And then places like the Grindstone and other, would have them. Yeah. Apple core. Oh, the seeds. That's that's like people who come in and get the yeah. Mhm. I thought that was like apricot. So people who come in and buy those a lot. Hmm. Oh, is there? I don't know. A little cyanide in the almonds too. I'm sure with. Well, I mean, we naturally get things from the soils too. You're going to pull up a lot of what was it that in rice that pulls up a lot of lead, and so you have to be careful. So it's just a lot of the growing process too. Cilantro, yeah, cilantro. Yeah, maybe that's why I was. I just want to put this in quickly about the liver and how important it is. That's your number one detoxifier, so everything that you breathe, put on your skin, you eat, whatnot, goes through the liver primarily. It goes through 2 phases, and I'm not going to get into all that. There are different things like, this is why your B vitamins are very important, and then primarily in phase 2, it's basically making it more water-soluble as it's going along through the process to excrete out through the urine or through the feces. So you want to make sure that these 2 are working properly. Will a regular MD check this? No, this is more like a functional medicine test. But you know that if you have things like, I was telling you some of those foods, they actually help balance phase 1, phase 2 pathways. Also, like I was saying, your B vitamins and your protein, amino acids are very important in this whole process too. And the flavonoids, yeah. Right. Yeah, no, that's got a lot of nutritional value. That's the rutin in there. Mhm. So I already mentioned a bunch of these foods for detox. This is what you were asking before. So these are some of the things that help. The cruciferous vegetables, the limonene-containing fruits. I mentioned the turmeric, curcumin, the egg yolks, onions, garlic. That's the sulfur-containing. Again, this all works in the liver. Beets. Milk thistle, that's another supplement. Or tea, rosemary, and green tea. Also water, very important for detoxifying, helping with muscle joint pain, bloating, constipation, maintaining healthy skin, helping prevent headaches. What's that? Purified water, exactly. Right, not tons of fluoridated. I do have some people that have their, jugs that they do carry with them. Yeah, yeah. Now, juice fasts are another thing, too. I just kept that in there because I was talking about juices. You can do this. Some people, I'm actually having, next week we're airing the movie Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. And this is the guy from Australia, Joe Cross, that had a bunch of health issues and whatnot. And he decided, I don't know what prompted him to do it really, but he juiced for 60 days and traveled across the United States while he was doing it. And it was very interesting. So the whole thing is about a documentary about how he dealt with that and how he helped another fellow truck driver. So, but you can even do something like this for a few days. And actually, we have a gentleman here who's going to talk before the movie, and he started to do it for about a week, and then he liked it so much that he actually did it for a month and lost 50 pounds and felt great. And so, like you were mentioning with listening to your body, a lot of times when you take things out that you never thought were issues, and then you add them back in, then you start realizing, because you feel so much better, and then you've never felt that difference before because you've never really taken it away. So there might have been a lower energy or a fog or whatnot that will lift when you start having different foods, juicing, raw and whatnot. So, and then when you try to add back in maybe a lot of heavier things like grains and proteins that may not work for you. So you have to kind of play around with it. It's different for everyone. So sprouting, again, I'm not going to talk much about that. That's what I'm going to let Deborah do because she has some examples up here. But you have different methods. There's a jar method. There's the bag method, tray plate, which they're like little trays that stack up and it will grow within those. The towel method, which I've done with some other seeds, just flowers, and it didn't work well. They died. And the saucer method and the soil method. Dehydrating, again, this is a great way to get in some more raw products. These are mesh racks. They allow warm air to circulate around the food to gradually evaporate the water content slowly over time. How much time did it take, for instance, with those kale chips? Okay, so roughly. Oh, okay. 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 Yeah, so it'll vary. It'll. Oh. Okay. Mhm. Overnight. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's going to take time, right? So to keep the fruits from discoloring, you can soak them in the pineapple juice or diluted lemon juice to protect the color if you're worried about that. Fermenting, again, I haven't done this. Someone just told me about, well, I don't know how hot crock pots get. They really don't have a temperature gauge, but someone was just telling me yesterday about how they did it with milk and yogurt and did a whole, made more yogurt that way. But I haven't done it at all. Anybody done fermenting? No? You're going to... Oh. Oh, nice. Well, this can be done in a glass, which is what I'd recommend, glass or ceramic over the hard plastic because of what you can absorb through the plastics. Involving breaking down foods by using living microorganisms such as enzymes or beneficial bacteria. Easy to digest, rich in enzymes. Some examples are miso, tamari, sauerkraut, apple cider vinegar, kimchi, yogurt, Rejuvelac, which she's going to talk about, kombucha, and kefir. Freezing, enzymes cease working at very cool temperatures but are not destroyed. They do lose much of their vitamin C content when they are thawed, though. So from this, basically, there are a lot of benefits for doing raw, even if it's just a little bit more and incorporating it at your leisure. It's assimilated with very little effort. So whether your health is at a low point right now or you're feeling very healthy and you just want to add more in for more energy, it's a great thing that we can do all year round. And these are some of the websites that I went to. So rawchef.com is that Chad Sarno. He was the 100% raw guy that changed to 80%. Brigitte Mars is the one that wrote the rawsome book that I have up here. OshiGlows.com is the one I got that recipe from, and there's a lot of others on there. Navita's Naturals is one that actually this is what started me on this whole journey. When we just started a simple, we were talking about, someone was talking about the chia seeds. I don't know if Carol told me about it, but just getting some chia seeds, and I would put almond milk on there with some vanilla extract and a little bit of cinnamon, and I eat that. And that started me looking into the website more and all the different recipes, and then, Deb and I started talking more and more about how we wanted to have more of this stuff here and bring it here, so we've been trying to do that for you guys. So raw for 30 days is another. Livestrong.com, that's one that I just pulled from that one-day raw diet. And sproutpeople.org is another one that has a lot of different things that you can order on there. Reference books, The Raw and Beyond, with those three authors I was talking about. Rawsome, Brigitte Mars. Crazy Sexy Kitchen, that's with Chad Sarno, one of the raw chefs from the Raw and Beyond, as well as Chris Carr, who had cancer, stage 4 cancer, and is basically in remission from that. Eating for Beauty, which is David Wolf. He does a lot of raw. Avocado. The Sprouting book by Ann Wigmore, and that was one of my references as well, Sprout Garden, the one we have up here. Yes. Uh-huh. Oh my gosh, putting beets on. Did it stain for, I'm sure it would stain for quite a while. Some oils and stuff. So let's live a life in a way that improves our health, okay? And this is just my number if anybody's interested in a consultation. Again, it's a free service of the store. And I have cards out there as well. So thank you for my portion of this. And now we're going to have Deb take over.
How would they make a big mouth? What? Oh, yeah. Okay, so today, as I said, or I mentioned earlier, I just prepared a raw kale salad with some dried cherries, which are not considered 100% raw, but raw friendly, because they can't really substantiate exactly how dried fruit is dried with each source that we have. So they are raw friendly, and there's some scallions and red cabbage in here, and I made a nice raw dressing. But I want to start by doing the hummus and see what kind of a concoction we come up with today. So we'll see how this all comes out. I've had some just personal experience with eating raw. I haven't done it in a while, and I really want to get back to it. And I come at everything that I do from the point of view that I love to cook. I'm learning all the nutritional benefits and everything, and the whys and the wherefores along the way. So this is a great pairing with Laurel and I, because I love to cook, and I always have, and I've had my own cafes and things like that, and now I'm managing trying to come up with ways to present food in the cafe that doesn't involve cooking, because we have no cooking facilities here. So this is a good place to begin. Yeah, so we're going to try, and this mock chicken salad that I'm going to let you sample later on, I'll go get it out of the fridge, is a place where I really would like to begin with stuff, because it was simple to make and it was delicious. I think people would love it. So I'm going to just go through this recipe. We're going to do 3 cups of garbanzo beans, and the garbanzo beans I sprouted. I started a couple of days ago with this, and you can see that that they have tiny little tails on them. So they were soaked in water for 24 hours, and then rinsed, and then put in the dark, and then they sprouted a day later, which was great, because I didn't know it was going to be that quick, and it happened quickly. And with anything that you sprout, whether it's like this is the beginning of the Rejuvelac, which I'll talk about. It's an enzyme drink, but anything that you're sprouting, the rule of thumb is that if it smells bad, it's probably bad. So if it smells fine, you're on the right track, and and you will see that like in a day or two, this Rejuvelac will start giving off the wheat berries will start giving off little bubbles, and you'll see that it's beginning to ferment in here. So, but right now we're going to start out with 1.5 cups of this. No, did I not bring my measuring cup in here? That's interesting. Yeah, just ask them for a half cup measuring cup. That's going to put everything in. So we're going to just put everything in. They say you can do this in a high-speed blender or a food processor. I'm going to use the food processor today. So we'll do 4 tablespoons of tahini. It just begins to sprout in water. It just begins to sprout, and yes, it does. It breaks down the toughness. Like I started out with dried garbanzo beans, and so it breaks down the hardness of the bean, and it begins to sprout, and it takes on other nutritional values that way. This is tahini. Yep. Tahini is a sesame seed paste, and it's in there. And sesame seeds are very rich in oil. Thank you. Which does? Oh yeah, it's a staple of Middle Eastern foods. The tahini, quite a long time, I think. It never stays around my house very long, so I don't really know. But if it's unopened, it's fine. You know, it's good for a long time. Okay, so. Yes, I just said that you can either use the high-speed blender or you can use the food processor. So all you're trying to do is you want to get it so that it'll be like into a smooth, creamy consistency. And some people like hummus a little chunkier. I mean, a lot of this stuff is it's not science. It's really about how much you like to, what the taste you like, how much garlic you like, how much salt and pepper. I don't put a lot of salt in my food, so sometimes I don't even salt it until after it's done, and then I taste it at the end. Sure, yeah. So I'm putting in cilantro, and I've got the recipes for you to take a look at. Yep. So this is pink, but this is lemon and lime juice, but apparently a beet preceded this through the juicer out there, so it's got a little color to it. So a juice of 1 lime and 1 lemon. A spice mix of cayenne and a little bit of cayenne, paprika, cumin. Smells delicious. And this recipe called for shredded carrots. Some people like to put a cucumber in, scallions, whatever you like to put in here. And basically you just put all this into the food processor or the blender. And this is 4 cloves of garlic. Powerful. No, it was fresh. I just chopped it up this morning. Yep. Oh, hey, It takes a sharp knife. That's it. And then we're going to just, I'm going to pulse this a little bit and get this all going. And the thing about making this is that when you come to the part where you put your olive oil in, you want to get this creamy without the olive oil first. You get it broken down as much as you can, and then you slowly pour the oil in so it emulsifies. That's the thing about raw stuff is that it's just so much more flavorful and fragrant. It's a beautiful color too. This is not the ideal test kitchen up here, but we make do. And you just want to watch what you're doing with your processor to make sure that you're getting everything scraped down on the side, so that because some of the lighter ingredients like the spices tend to stick to the top. So you just want to make sure everything is nicely incorporated and it's getting there. It smells yummy. What's that? Well, if you can find cold pressed olive oil, that's the best if you're going to stick to raw. But I mean, if you want to be strict about the rawness of it, this recipe I didn't do this for this recipe, but you can also combine coconut oil, flaxseed oil, and olive oil in equal parts, and that gives it a little bit of a different flavor as well. So this is coming out in a nice consistency. So when you decide to, go raw, and you'll find yourself preparing a lot. It's a lot of preparation in some of these recipes. Like it involves soaking the nuts and sprouting some of the seeds and the grains and things like that. So you just have to make a commitment to it, because it's a change in the way. It's really a way that it's not the rip open the package way of eating by any means. No extras? Oh, I counted. Do you need any more? No. Okay. I have more for tonight. There's 15 people for tonight now. It's up to 15. Yeah. I know. Okay, I'll give you a cut. So here's what we've got. I'm going to show you. So you've got a nice, rich-looking, beautiful color. No, I can serve it. So I'm going to go. So that's the demo part of what I'm doing. I'm going to talk a little bit about Rejuvelac, and then I'm going to sample out the things that I made today. So Rejuvelac is a drink that's It serves as a probiotic, and it's full of nutrients. So what I did here was I took wheat berries, and they're soft winter wheat berries. That's what you want to get, the soft wheat berries. And you basically you cover them with water, and you let them sit 24 hours. And then in the next couple of days, you fill it with 4 cups of water after they're rinsed. After the first sprouting, you rinse them. You fill it with 4 cups of water, and then you just wait. And eventually what you're going to do is you're going to see the fermentation process start. So as I said before, you're going to start to see the water's getting cloudy, and then eventually it'll start to bubble up. And in about 2 or 3 days, you taste it. It should have a nice sweet, lemony flavor. Like, it should be crisp tasting. It shouldn't taste or smell foul in any way. Sometimes sprouting fails. You just have to really get to know what you're doing. Test out the recipes and see how much success you have with it, and don't get discouraged if it doesn't work out the first time, because if you read the blogs on the raw food sites, you're like, oh my God, I don't know what I did, it didn't come out good, it's slimy, it's this, it's that. So you just have to really, always use filtered water, always use glass, because glass is it doesn't absorb or emit anything into what you're doing here. So this is what we're gonna see in a couple of days. We should have a nice fermented drink. And you can drain the wheat berries. You can drain the water into another jar. Take the wheat berries, and you can do it once again with the same wheat berries, and that should only take a day to ferment because you've already broken them down. So. Yep. I'm not sure. I haven't seen anything about rice. I haven't seen that pop up, but I know you can use quinoa. You can use, So there's plenty of alternatives to the glutinous grains. And then, so I wanted to mention that some of the kale recipes, like the one in the Bridget book that she mentioned earlier, Bridget Mars, she massages the kale and breaks it down and gets it more like what she says is more digestible. But I found this recipe that just was pure raw kale, and I wanted to try this one because I like people to get used to the texture. And we're so used to processed food that it takes even the texture out of what we eat. So here we have a gorgeous raw salad that is made with a delicious recipe of a dressing that was made with cashews and mustard, Dijon mustard, a little agave. I use agave in case anybody was vegan in here. You can use raw honey as well. So I'm going to pour this on and toss it up, and we're going to have a nice little sampling of some food here. Yep. I use mason jars for everything. You just go to Walmart or wherever you shop, and Walmart's the only place I've been able to find them lately. But they have a set of a dozen or 8, and you can get them in quart, pint, half pint. I mean, yeah, and that's what I use. We use that for everything in here. We store everything that we store in glass. We use those because they're easy to transport, and they come with lids, and then I also save jars like a crazy person. So if when you empty your relish out or whatever you're eating, your pickles, you save the jar. I have done the tiers. I think it's a pain in the neck to do it that way. For some reason, it always fails for me, or I lose one of the pieces and I can't find the 3rd layer of the tray or whatever. But it works just as well. You can use them twice. So after you pour off you can strain the liquid into a clean glass jar and keep that to drink, and that, I think it keeps a couple of days. And then the next batch you can start right away with the same wheat berries, and that should only take a day or so to ferment. And then the other thing that I know I saw you make a face when they were talking about raw meat and raw fish, but I don't know if you indulge, but ceviche is a traditional, it's a traditional South American dish where they take raw fish, usually either I can't remember, halibut, I think what's that? Salmon, and I've done it with shrimp, where you actually make a concoction of vegetables like onions and peppers and this raw fish, and you make a dressing of lime or lemon, anything that's highly acidic, and the acid is what actually cooks the fish. So you can watch the fish turn from, how shrimp, for example, is that grayish pink. Over the course of the hours where it's sitting in this lime juice, you'll see it begin to turn opaque, just like if you put it on heat. So it's a very interesting way to eat if you're not, a vegetarian or a vegan, and you want to keep that in your life. I don't know about raw eggs and raw meat. That's something I'm interested in, but No, it's refrigerated. So here we go. I'm going to go get the I just want to go through the mock chicken salad and let you know a little bit about what is in the mock chicken salad. Turned out to be so beautiful. Oh, here's I'm going to go and run these off for you too, because this is how to sprout the garbanzo beans. Okay. And then would you do me a favor and go grab on my desk the recipes? Oh, I'll go do it because I have to get the other. I want to go get the stuff from the refrigerator though. I'll be right back.